Guess I'm just waiting here for Bobby to come up here.
Hey, yeah, you're live. Sorry, man. I was trying to get the video thing sorted out.
That's all right.
So a lot of news. Slate's a lot different than it looked. Obviously, no Capella. It's going to be hard to figure out the Okongwu fade. I'm not going to do it myself, so I will just be playing him. And I will be playing Naz Reid in most of my lineups as well, with no Gobert. And the question then becomes, what else do we want to do?
Well, was also waiting still on DeJounte Murray, no?
Waiting on DeJounte Murray, yep. And what's up to the guys in chat? Thanks for the welcome back. Yeah, it's great to be back, guys. This is as usual, sort of a tough one to figure out. As it's always tough when you go on at this time. It's like right after all the news is happening, and I'm trying to, the projections at least have updated a little bit, but it's definitely tricky to figure out what to do with all this stuff. Especially,
well, let's go back also to Indiana. We need starters there, right?
Yeah, I think we know it's gonna. I mean, usually they start Nembhard, and I think I've just sort of come to the terms with just being okay to fade him. I don't really have like a strong, like a desperately need to play this guy. Whether they're playing 12 guys like anyway, it's just as likely going to be anybody else. It's not like it has to be him as the point guard. You still have McConnell there. If McConnell was out, that'd be a different story. But I just think it's a lot less interesting than it was, and I don't even see him as much better of a play than Josh Richardson, to be honest with you. And I mean, you look at the last game, even after what's his name got hurt. I think he only played 5 minutes after Halliburton got hurt in the second quarter in Nembhard. So there is no guarantee that Nembhard projected to play. What's he projected to play right now, minutes wise? Projected to play 28. Even that, they're getting a pretty generous projection for 28. But it wouldn't surprise me if he played 20 and had 10 fantasy points. I still think he's a fine tournament play, but like at the ownership he'll be at, I just sort of have come to the terms with, I like so many guards tonight that I just don't think I'm going to get to him in my big buy-ins.
Well, you hit the nail right on the head with that. Is that this is like a guard loaded slate, So,
yeah.
So I mean, you play him, then that's a lot of opportunity cost there, not being able to play either Maxey or Rozier, and now Trey for that matter.
Right. And you also have like the DeJounte thing is going to be obviously a huge piece of information because that would again change everything. But I really like Nick Smith thing for Charlotte. He's sort of worked his way into their rotation. He's the 27th pick in this year's draft. And I kind of think I want to do it with no Caleb Martin. Caleb Martin, the last game without him, Nick Smith played in a close game, played 32 minutes. It's obviously a great matchup tonight. So I think I'd even rather like spend down on these guys, spend down on Nick Smith, where I think he's going to play more minutes. I think he's just as likely to play as many minutes or more minutes than Halliburton. I'm sorry, than Nembhard. And I think Josh Richardson is minutes are more secure in a good matchup where they're going to need something. So I expect him to be around 30 minutes as well. So I'd rather just get even cheaper if I'm going to spend down. And mostly I'm going to just have Maxey and Rozier in almost all my lineups anyway. So it's really hard to make too many other plays for me, which is why I can sort of get the Nembhard thing out of there a little bit. I'm guessing that for your projections that Naz Reid is showing up as a great play.
I'm doing it now. I imagine that he's not going to be nearly as good as Okongwu.
But they're both forward and center eligible.
Yeah, but and also like Kyle Anderson is going to be a good play too.
That's a much more fringy one to me, but
well, I'm going to run it now. Yeah, I would imagine Naz Reid is going to be good.
I just would always rather side with the Naz Reid thing personally, but I have some Anderson. Don't get me wrong, but I'm.
How about you want to like again now it's a real fringy ownership play, but back to back for Sacramento, maybe Trey Lyles at that position now is going to be like 2% owned.
Yeah, and I think that's interesting. He did play 31 minutes last night, which I believe is a season high. But that doesn't mean that he can't play minutes in a good matchup here tonight. I just don't find the need to get to him because I'd rather play Okongwu and Reid. and I don't think I need that other extra value. But I probably will end up with him in like with some of my slightly, maybe my secondary lineups and stuff. I do need to mention that I did a little digging, and it is of all things. So it's French National Heritage Night in Detroit.
Okay.
That's and Wembanyama's in Detroit. I mean, that's a thing. And Killian
Hayes, maybe he gets 25 minutes.
And Killian Hayes is obviously a Frenchman as well. So
okay.
There's a little back and forth you could talk yourself into, and I talked myself into it anyway.
I don't think we need an excuse to play Wemby though.
Yeah, I mean, and even projection wise, Killian Hayes too. But although he definitely there's definitely a floor there that's uncomfortable. But look, I don't think anybody's going to play Wemby tonight. Let's see where he's projected right now. I don't think anybody's playing him. So there's an interesting little way of you can build to get different. But yeah, I think you start your lineups with the Okongwu and the Naz Reid, and I think you want to play at least one of Maxey or Harris. I'm playing both together mostly. I also think I like Josh Richardson, Nick Smith as the cheaper guys. So one middling play that I kind of like that no one's talked about is Zach LaVine. And I know he's going to have some ownership, but he had 2 really bad games coming off of this, and he hasn't really been shooting the ball much. I have a feeling that that's not going to last forever. So I'm on board with maybe taking some shots on Zach LaVine at 6,700, which I think is the cheapest price we've ever had Zach LaVine at since we've been doing this.
So this could change, but right now, my Naz Reid projection is kind of pedestrian, actually. I have him only 27, 28 fantasy points.
That's pretty good.
But he's 5,200. You know what I mean? It's not like it's that. I mean, he's 1 point higher than Jalen Smith. You know what I mean? It's not like.
Yeah. The only thing I'd point out is with Gobert playing, he's been putting up 30 a game.
No, I know. I'm just saying what the projection is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I got you.
So it's a Okongwu is is the clear value. As far as I'm looking, what's wrong with it's back to back. Whatever we could certainly play Cat.
Yeah, it's a tough back to back, and they're probably going to get smoked with no Gobert. They had a hard time getting into Boston, so they literally got in really late, and they're on a back to back. So it's a tricky. The game is starting to feel a little bit trickier. But you also have some value, like if you wanted to play. I mean, first of all, you could play Reed and Towns, and you could also play. I think Edwards also. You could argue. As well, if you think the game stays close. And now you've got no Porzingis on the other side. So Tatum and Brown, you have a nice natural run back, even in a tough matchup. But I just didn't get to the other pieces as much personally. I do like Towns, and I think that might be a mistake not to get to a little bit more of them.
I'll tell you, I didn't get anything from Boston at all. Tatum would be my favorite, but it's nothing.
Hey, Noah, go ahead and run them. I think the best thing is just probably run the NHL stuff on your own thing if you can, because I want to just get to the basketball for this show. So, I'm sorry, Sheets, what was that last thing you said?
That I wasn't really getting to anybody from Boston almost at all.
Yeah, and that's that I understand it's because of the. I do think that there's some feelings that this game is going to blow out, and it's obviously a tough matchup in general. Although you take Gobert off the court, it does make it a little bit of a better matchup. Naz Reid is not exactly a great defender. And I'm curious who they start too. That's the other thing. I don't really know exactly what they're going to do. I think Kyle Anderson is most likely to start, but I like Naz Reid better if he's not starting. I'll keep the ownership down on him a little bit anyway. No matter what, I expect him to play minutes.
So we're still waiting on Indiana start. I mean, I am. Well, Indiana starters still waiting on DeJounte Murray.
Mm-hmm.
And still waiting on Zion, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'm not really sure that's relevant, the Zion one, because they've been playing these guys without Zion, and yeah, they're fine plays, but nobody's been a must play exactly without Zion so far. But they're solid plays. So yeah, I guess it's relevant. But I guess Najee Marshall would be the one maybe. Not even that. That doesn't feel springy now with the other value we have. So I think everybody would still be a little bit of a tournament dart even without Zion. Somebody's going to get there, but I think you're playing a little bit of a guessing game that we've been playing a lot of this season because Zion's missed games, Ingram's missed games, McCollum's missed games. We sort of know what's happening, and Trey Murphy wasn't even there for all those games. So they still have a lot of bodies over there. And that one's a little less relevant to me than the DeJounte Murray thing personally.
Yeah, sorry, no. For the 3-game slates, I usually do like something for the hockey, but it was just too small, so I didn't really get to it. And it's a 3-game slate, so it's a little not my usual thing. But I mean, just since you asked, I mean, I'm playing like Philly, Minnesota. I mean, you could. I mean, I just encourage you to do that one on your own. Normally, but if it's like less than 4 games, I probably won't even deal with it. But I appreciate you asking them.
Yeah.
All right, let me see what I'm getting here now. Again, it's still dependent on other stuff. But yeah, it looks like the Okongwu fade is going to be not for me.
Yeah.
It's going to be Okongwu Maxi Rozier. You know, that's going to be that's going to be the deal, and that's going to be very, very popular, I believe.
Yeah. And I personally will throw Naz Reid into that same exact thing, and I'll just throw Naz Reid on as one other one.
Well, I'll tell you who's going to show up in that in this whole mess is Trey if DeJounte gets ruled out. And also if DeJounte gets ruled out, Bogdan is going to show up. Sadiq Bey is going to show up. He might show up already, right?
Bogdanovich, but really Trey and Bogdanovich, I think, will be the main ones.
Yeah.
And Sadiq Bey without, but yeah, he would show up too because you already have no.
Yeah, Capella. And just so you guys know, in full disclosure, I am going to play some Curry. Now he's going to be like less than 1%. So
I like that, Sheets. I actually think it's a really, really reasonable.
Yeah. I mean, now that Trey's going to come into play also. Now whatever 5% was going to be on Steph is now going to Trey. So.
Well, I was trying to get Trey in with the other guys, and I think you can do it even.
Oh, yeah. Now you can do it.
It's kind of interesting. Like, but you play Trey. You could definitely play Trey with Maxey and Rozier.
Well, you know how you do it. You go with your other dude. You go with your Moses Moody.
Yeah, but now I'm on the Nick Smith train.
Okay.
I really like this Nick Smith idea. I think it makes plenty of sense. I think SaberSim has him projected a lot better than other places do.
Okay.
And I look, we can go off of a 1-game sample size of what we've seen in the current situation. Without Caleb Martin, he played 32 minutes the last time they played. That's good enough for me for a rookie who they are high on, who's a first-round pick.
I'm currently, in my current builds, I'm getting 40% Nick Smith.
Love it. Absolutely love it. On FanDuel, I have him even more. I have him in like almost every lineup on FanDuel.
Oh, really?
Yeah. 4,100 over there, and it just got me a little bit of a funkier, different build that I kind of liked. And the K9 was asking about, I wrote it in the Discord, but he was asking who to play at center because you can play Okongwu and Reed at power forward on FanDuel.
Yep.
I think that Okongwu and Naz Reid. I think the answer is Paul Reed is the other answer at center, and Jalen Duren.
Yeah, I'm getting, because of this positional stuff, you know, like you could play all this Naz Reid, you know?
Yeah.
I'm getting like right now 40% Naz Reid, which is that's healthy. That's probably more in the field. I mean, I don't think it'll be 40, but it'll be up there.
Especially because he's probably not going to start, and people are not going to love clicking that button. If he does start, then he will be like 50 or 60 or 70% owned.
That's true.
The weird thing is, here's my counter to the Cat and Anthony Edwards thing. Gobert being out does not it benefits Cat from a rebounding perspective somewhat. Actually, more than somewhat, but Naz Reid is a much higher usage player than Rudy Gobert is. So you're actually playing more time with another higher usage guy. Like Naz Reid being the highest fantasy point player on that team, I think is totally reasonable tonight.
Another questionable that needs to be resolved is D'Anthony Melton, I think.
Yes.
Or is he in yet? Or is he out? Or whatever?
Let me grab my latest thing on him. I'm pretty sure that he's still questionable. Yeah. And again, I think it just solidifies the other guys. Maybe you could talk yourself into a fringy Pat Beverly play, but I don't think that's my favorite.
No, I don't think. Yeah, I'm not with all the guards out there. You know,
exactly. So I really think it just solidifies the other guys, the Maxey and the Harris.
Yeah.
And Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what my lineups are going to look like, and trying to get different. Go ahead.
Kevin Love looks. I mean, he's getting into some lineups right now.
See, I think that's a really interesting play that looked like it was going to be really popular, and then everyone got off of it. I thought. I think that's what's going to happen. I think by the end of the day, he's like 5% owned. But if you play those three together, then you can spend up everywhere else. You can play and think about it. Like, look, it might be uncomfortable to play Kevin Love because the minutes and everything. We know what he can do per minute. Look, they need to have some offense somewhere, and he's going to play 20 to 24 minutes. His last 4 games, he's been over 30 in all of them. With this situation being the same, and played 20 to 27 minutes, but in those games, depending on which one. I'm definitely in on the Kevin Love idea to maybe pair with, maybe not instead of a Kongwu or Reed, but to play with them because he's a center only eligible.
The Grizzlies waived Bismack Biyombo.
They waived him in the middle of the game last night, apparently, or after the game, like within minutes or something like that.
Really?
It's really weird. But it didn't come out officially until today, but that's what they said.
Vince Williams expected to sign a 3-year contract
with Memphis.
Yeah. Let me see what else we have. Catching up on some news here. Not much.
Yeah, so I mean, going through my current exposures, my highest owned guys are the ones I mentioned, but there's some other plays that I'm a little lower on Trey Jones than maybe the field is. I'm a little lower on Killian Hayes. I don't know if I'm lower than the field even anymore. I do like Kuzma. I think he's getting a little bit more. He's going to be owned, but he's not quite as popular as I think he was going to be. I mentioned Levine. I still like that Matherin play a lot. I think that's a really interesting way of getting different. It's just I don't love the price, but he certainly has a ceiling, and he's a much higher usage guy than he's probably their highest usage guy, right? Like, who else is there?
Then whom?
Matt Matherin.
Yeah, he is the highest usage guy with Halliburton off. It's like 26% or something.
Yeah, and then other guys like Tyler Hero tonight is another one of the guards that I think is an awesome play, and it's going to be weird to get to him because it's just not the way that I think builds are going to take you. But I like that idea. I could definitely talk myself into Hero, and I think Bam is the same type of thing. I think that again, it's one of those situations where one of these guys is going to absolutely smash, and Hero is going to take a million shots. And I like the idea of trying to get to one of Hero or Bam.
No need to play Nickeil Alexander-Walker, right?
See, that's another one that I was really considering, that because especially like when you factor in the potential blowout run and everything, it just feels fishy.
Yeah, I mean he could get 0.
He could. Of course, that one night when I talked about fading him was the game we put up like 55 earlier in the season.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Trey Jones, I think is I'll be under the field on Trey Jones, but I'll have a little bit of it to answer the Kaylee's question over there. Saban retiring, saw that. See that, Sheets?
Who is?
Saban.
I did, yeah. And Pete Carroll was fired.
Yeah, I feel like was that like a gift firing though? Like okay, now we'll let you do your thing, sort of like the Vrabel thing. Vrabel can go coach.
Could be right, actually.
Whoever now.
Yeah. Yeah, Nick Richards, not Nick Richards, the other one, Nick Smith. Okay, so he's the guy I have most of there. Nick Smith, Rozier. I have some Miles Bridges so far.
God, I really like Miles Bridges, and I just didn't get to him in my builds, and I'd like to.
Boston.
Maybe.
I'm getting no Sacramento's and no Boston so far. Kuzma, Avdia, Poole, whatever. What do Indiana guys do I have? Nemar Turner, Smith, Neesmith, McConnell. I gotta get some Mather in here.
Yeah.
You playing any? You mentioned Wemby. Yeah, I think I have too much Trey Jones myself. By the way, I'd rather. This is kind of silly to say, right? But right now I have like 0 Steph Curry because I didn't make any manual adjustments yet. Like I currently have 36% like Trey Jones. I would rather have like 20% Curry and just punt elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
That's my opinion on that.
I think it's a totally sharp idea, and I think that it's something that no one's going to do. So I'm completely on board.
The other Bogdanovich is decent. Bojan. not getting any Killian Hayes anymore.
Yeah, I had a feeling that would happen. With the projections really started to sour on him as the day went on. His projections dropped.
Other Philly guys, just Maxey and Harris and some Melton, but we got to wait on the Melton news.
Yeah.
You like any Jalen Johnson from Atlanta? Well, if that's another one, if Murray's out, that helps a little bit.
I'm not sure how much it benefits him to not have Murray, but I think that, like, I would say he's probably the one that benefits the least, but I think he's a fine play anyway. So it's just more minutes, more whatever to go around.
Okay. See, I'm getting 0. Are you getting any of the Carson Wallace or whatever?
Case on Wallace? No.
The Carson. Oh, right. Okay. I got confused. I confused with your Carson Young from the golf.
Oh, for the golf, yeah.
Miami. I'm Richardson, Bam, Love, Jaquez, Hero. I'm getting like a lineup of Jaquez and a lineup of Hero.
Well, everybody knows me well enough to know how much I love Jaquez, and I would never tell anyone not to play him.
Yeah.
That was
very
the easiest.
Very little Sengun, but a couple. Nothing from Chicago for me right now, at least. New Orleans, nothing, but I'm gonna watch the Zion. I mean, I like you said, I don't even know who's gonna show up.
Yeah.
And currently 0 Golden State, but that's gonna turn into something. Yeah, I'm getting 0 of that. And then, well, that's what happens, by the way. That when you get all that value opens up at center, for example, that the Trace Jackson, whatever his name is,
Davis just doesn't show up anymore. But
ain't gonna make it. Ain't gonna make it.
But then you can make the argument that maybe is the thing. Maybe you do go back to that,
especially because all those quote unquote centers you can play it forward anyway.
Exactly. And to that point, MC's asking a question in chat like about the Jalen Smith. I was more interested in Jalen Smith to start the day. I just can't. I'm not getting to him as much because of that. I actually think that Jalen Smith and Kevin Love, and as you mentioned, Trace Jackson Davis, all those guys are going to be very low owned now, and I think they're all they're all completely legitimate, solid plays. But I'm not playing them over Okongwu and Reed personally. I could play them alongside, and don't get me wrong, there's a bus pass for Naz Reid, but Naz Reid is the guy on this slate the most, including Okongwu, who could literally you might just have no chance if you don't have him. We've seen this before with him. He can put up even in a blowout game where they get smashed, he could put up 55. He has a ridiculous ceiling. Yeah, I have no interest in the JT Thor play, Kaylee. I don't even think in a blowout he's just so awful per minute. They are short of bodies. I'll give you that, but he had the most active game he's ever had in his life in the last game, and put up 23 fantasy points, and that would be great. But I don't think that we should expect that, considering he's basically like a half a fantasy point per minute guy. Gafford, no, I'm not getting to Gafford anymore. I do think that it wouldn't surprise me if he had a good game here, but I'm just not getting there anymore. I like these other spots a little bit better. But Gafford is an interesting pivot off of about all those stuff. I have no problem with it. I just didn't get to it myself. They won't just commit to his minutes, so it's kind of hard.
Yeah.
So we got about 5-6 more minutes before I got to finish my builds because I haven't.
Yeah, I'm gonna scoot also after that.
So anybody else with any thoughts or questions about some of these other funky plays? Trey Jones or Poole or Pod? Honestly, because of the ownership, I think that Poole is probably my favorite, but I don't really like any of them. Trey Jones, I have right now a little bit, but it's lineups where I'm already getting different elsewhere because he's going to be popular. I expect him to be right around 25 to 30 fantasy points, but we just never really see a ceiling with him. And if there was a matchup, this would be it. So Trey Jones is fine. At high ownership when there's so many good guards, I just would rather skip that little grouping and just play these other guys and play a really fringy, get different with my build Nick Smith play, who still isn't getting that much ownership.
He's going to be popular, right?
I don't think so. I mean, Sabersim has him at 5%.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be more popular than that. But again, there's just a lot of guards. Favorite spend up tonight. I'm not spending more than 9K. I don't think on anybody on DraftKings. I love Shea, but I don't think you need to do that. And I will play DeJounte. I'll definitely play Trae Young if DeJounte Murray's out, but I'm not probably going to unless he is.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll rebuild and make Trae Young. I'll make the Trae Young, Maxey, Rozier thing work.
Yeah, I really don't think he's playing.
I have a feeling you're right, but it's hard to speculate because it's. I mean, I guess it's not hard to speculate. We're speculating, but I don't know what to do with that one, to be honest. I have way more Josh Richardson than I thought I was going to today. For what it's worth.
Do we need that?
It's just the thing is, like, who else? Like, you have a pace up matchup. You see the Heat in a 233.5 total.
You play him at forward?
You can't play him at forward.
Oh.
And it's fringy. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sure. I'd like to see who's starting for them because, like, some sites are projecting that RJ Hampton will start. Other sites are projecting him. Like, I don't know what to do with that. So it's a little fringy considering the game starts 30 minutes after the first game's locked. I probably should have less than I do.
Melton pregame warmups. Is there any reason why I have like Zach LaVine in a lineup? Do I need this? Probably not.
I like the Zach LaVine play personally.
Yeah,
yeah, I think that we're getting a little
just in a lineup or two. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it's not.
Yeah, like 2 terrible games in a row doesn't. I don't want to hold that as a. Oh, that's what we can expect from him. You know, he'll start hitting shots again. All right. What else do we have? Trey Murphy. If Zion's out, I would play some Trey Murphy. I'm not going to play him with if Zion's in. Alvarado to be out so we can fire up Dyson Daniels. I don't even know where that comes from, Kaylee. That's a terrible play. I don't know if Dyson Daniels plays more than like 5 minutes tonight. Like, maybe he does. If Alvarado and Zion are out, then he's still not in play, in my opinion. I guess really fringy. You could maybe make the argument, but why not just play Nick Smith? But we really need starting lineups. I guess that's the main thing.
Absolutely.
Troy Brown Jr. Where did that even come? I don't even.
He's still in the league.
I haven't even considered Troy.
No
Troy
way.
Brown Jr. I wouldn't play him. I mean, he's minimum, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty terrible, to be honest. I think that would be an awful play, just to be direct. I don't care if it happens to be the one night he gets there. Like, Troy Brown, like, started for a terrible team, was playing 30 minutes a game all season. And I think about halfway through the year, it took him like 40 games to where he got to 20 fantasy points, playing 30 minutes a game. Right now, he's playing like 3 minutes a game. I'm not doing anything like that. That just makes no sense to me. Personally. Jalen Johnson is fine anytime, but there's nothing about like these other things that are making him stand out to me. But Jalen Johnson is a really good basketball player, and I never have a problem playing him. Let's see, 5K or below, small forward on DK to make the young Maxey or there we go. We just talked all about it. I feel like sometimes people aren't listening.
Well, let me ask you this. Did you take a look at the 10 p.m. slate or no?
It's Nick Smith. I did. I put a lineup in and I posted my early build. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk about it.
What do you like?
I
haven't even done projections for it yet.
I like forcing the Kawhi just got the big extension narrative. I guess but that's not really I couldn't find anything that was so far off the board that was just like crazy.
I'm playing. I'm definitely playing.
I forced in. I think RJ Barrett is kind of interesting. His usage has been really good and has put up 2 monster games in a row. I don't mind going back to that. I love Zubac. I would actually probably play Zubac on this main slate. He's been just terrific in real life too. Like, he's really good, and they figured it out in LA how to use him and how to get the whole team together. They're doing some things over there. Zubac. I think John Collins he's like 5,300. It's too cheap. Jordan Clarkson, I love. That's one. Jordan Clarkson has one of the most ridiculous splits between home and away games. He averages 13 more fantasy points per game at home. And this is how he always has been. It's really strange. So the 5K or below at small forward, I don't have a 5K or below small forward outside of Kyle Anderson. He's Kyle Anderson, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, but not together, obviously. And I don't particularly love either of them. I guess you could make an argument for Duncan Robinson and just hope that he gets hot, but I don't really love that. I'd probably rebuild. But yeah, no, we've been talking about Nick Smith the whole time. I like Nick Smith. I'm willing to deal with variance and rookies. I'm gonna trust that they've kept him a part of the lineup if the game stays close. And I actually think they have a good chance to stay close. It's a great matchup. I'm definitely high on the Nick Smith thing. Maybe more than most people are. He's a gunner, man, from college. Like he can really he can score the ball. He'll shoot the ball like crazy.
Where did he go?
I can't remember where he went off the top of my head. I just remember when I was reading my draft coverage about him, and I've listened to a lot of people talk about him. But I'll just take that last game as a sample. Look, no Cody Martin. He played 32 minutes. Does it mean he's guaranteed to? No. But why would we assume it'd be any different when they were competitive and he played really well and he's a rookie that they took in the first round this year? So you'd think they'd want to get him the minutes, and he's currently projected at minutes wise at 24. If you think I think he's got way upside on that 24-minute projection. I think it could be 32 again. Jalen Smith is out. Okay, so that's weird.
Where'd that come from?
We just got it. Kobe just said it. I don't know.
It wasn't even questionable.
Yeah, I wasn't ready for that one at all.
So now maybe even Obi Toppin comes into play?
Yeah, I think it's Obi Toppin is the answer.
And Benedict Mathurin becomes even better, I think.
And large field, maybe Isaiah Jackson.
Oh, no, not that again.
But he smashes. He just doesn't play the minutes. He just needs the minutes. That's an interesting one. So I would say that before the projections update, my thought on that is that Obi Toppin would be the natural, easy pivot over to him situation. And I also think that makes everybody else just a little bit better, including Mathurin. I don't think it really does much for Nembhard, but Mathurin, McConnell, it just gives them more flexibility for these guys to play minutes. I actually think Bruce Brown is a better play as his Buddy Hield, but I don't think you need to. You hear all the names. There's still so many guys in Indiana, and they've been, it's hard to know what they're going to do with the minutes. But the weird part is that includes Nembhard, and I don't think people are doing it as much as they were before. But we were sort of treating this slate earlier on in the day well, there's no way Nembhard can fail, and there's so many ways he can fail.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I still like Indiana to cover that game, even with all these guys sitting. All right, I probably should go because I do have to get my lineup builds. I will update in the Discord what I've got in terms of exposures when I finish it up. But I don't have a whole lot more that I can talk through without actually trying to figure out my builds because I'm starting to feel less. I don't need the Levine thing as much as I wanted to before. It's maybe a little too cute to me now. Although he is forward eligible for what it's worth. I think I'm gonna get rid of the Josh Richardson and him thing and then find something else to do. Maybe it's Obi Toppin. Maybe that's the answer that I was looking for. I think it is actually. I don't have anybody from Indy, and I think I want to have something. Oh, I'm so close. I just really want 700 more. I can't figure out how to get it.
We gotta wait. I gotta wait on the Hawks still. DeJounte Murray.
Yeah,
I gotta wait on that one.
I agree.
At 25 minutes though. I mean, we gotta make some decisions. All right, I'm gonna get out of here.
Okay.
I will. I'll see you later.
All right, bud. Good luck, and good luck to everybody. I'll be in the premium Discord if anybody's got any questions or thoughts.